From next year, the boss of Tesla will be handing over the car keys to the robots. Elon Musk has predicted that the company will convert its electric cars into fully self-driving vehicles as part of a bold plan to create a network of robotic taxis to compete against ride-hailing services like Uber. His critics say, well, this is just typical Musk, overpromise, under-deliver, with fully autonomous cars likely to come in about another decade.
We've got lots of coverage on that, as well as this on the same day. Have a look at this video showing a Tesla Model S going up in flames inside a car park in China. That one's gone viral for all the obvious reasons, sparking concerns over whether these cars are even roadworthy at all. So, would you trust a robot with your safety? And do we actually want robots to succeed in the world around us? Global futurist Anders Sörman-Nilsson joins us now in studio. Anders, it seems like we're all for robots taking over until something like that happens. It kind of blows it up, of course, naturally. What do you think about this idea of robots being handed the keys next year in Tesla?
I think the question really is within which time frame, and it's often been said that oftentimes we overhype the amount of change that will happen in 1 year, but we underestimate how much change might occur over the next decade. And I think this is really a case where the question is whether Tesla will be able to launch their own network of robo-vehicles within the next 12 months, or maybe there should be a little bit of a grain of salt. We think that this might be something that we all take for granted in 10 years' time, and I think it's probably one of the latter predictions.
Yeah, it's certainly a bold prediction to say that we'll have 1 million of these on the roads next year. I suppose if we're playing the what-if game, and of course you are a futurist, but if we were saying what if this were available next year in Australia, do you think that people would jump to it, or do you think that there would still be a lot of resistance from people to get in a total robotic vehicle?
So the question is whether humans are rational, and oftentimes we're rather emotional. And so even though all the statistics, all the data, all the studies show that robotic vehicles are actually safer in terms of how many miles or how many kilometers they drive, until an accident happens, us humans are very, very emotional. Statistically, if I go for a swim at Palm Beach, for example, I can still feel that kind of soundtrack, right, of a shark coming. Although statistically, I know it's a very, very low likelihood. And it's the same with these vehicles. People don't necessarily trust the statistics, right?
Yeah.
And so we make emotional decisions. And certainly in Australia, we have a population where some people are more laggards when it comes to technological adoption. So it might still take a few years until we fully trust. And maybe we want our neighbours, our grandparents, even our children to be kind of, forcing us to adopt these new devices, right?
Yeah, it's interesting when we consider, the areas in our lives where we're happy for robots to take over. It's interesting, some new research has showed that 30% of Australians, so roughly 1 in 3, would trust a robot to offer them financial advice. So this is robo-advice, which has been a big topic for us. Is that the future? What do you think of a stat like that, 30%?
Well, I think particularly given what's happened with the Royal Commission, there's a lot of human mistrust or distrust of human financial advisors. So I'm not surprised that 1 in 3 Australians now distrust, or you could say actually trust the technology instead to maybe replace some of these financial advisors. So certainly the industry has a lot of digital and human trust building to do to build a better narrative to regain the trust, or the robots will take many jobs.
Is that kind of what you predict at the moment? Do you think the trust for robots will increase at the same rate that it decreases for the established financial system? And so as a result, do you think that perhaps in 15, 20 years' time we'll be on this show talking about which robot did what and why you should invest in that set of robots and not this set of robots? Is that the future of money and investing, do you think?
Well, it could be. And already, right, my financial advisor, Gavin, who's a human, by the way, I should just add, sometimes he gets a bit worried because sometimes the robots get it right more than he does. And sometimes he actually describes himself as the human interface behind which there's just data analytics. So he's kind of saying that the robots are already doing the work, but he provides the human touch. There is still a hand-holding element that's so critical to us humans, as some of us, or at least 2/3 of Australians, still don't trust this new digital technology.
Fantastic. Anders Sörman-Nilsson, thank you so much. Great of you to join us.